Welcome to Think, React, Lead, bringing you insights and strategies for thinking as an executive, reacting like a soldier, and leading in all aspects of your life. Here's your host, executive coach and leadership speaker, Dom Faussette.
Hey, welcome to the Think, React, Lead podcast, where you will be provided insights on thinking as an executive, reacting like a soldier, and leading in every aspect of your career and personal life. I am your host, Dom Faussette, and today we are going to discuss 3 areas to address before actually having what it takes. See, there's having what it takes and then knowing what it takes. What I have found is there's typically 3 common reasons why people, let's put it like this, think that they have what it takes when in all actuality it's knowing what it takes, but not really getting dialed in on having what it takes. And that's the difference why people will start a business or start some sort of journey, because they think they've conceptualized the knowledge aspect of it, and they think that's a straight transition into implementation, but it's not. Again, there's knowing what it takes and then having what it takes. Here's a prime example in an area in my life where I failed. Most of you know that I was in the Air Force. When I joined the Air Force, my goal, my soul, what I thought was my purpose was to go pararescue. I knew what it took to become a pararescue. Now, once I got into the training or the selection process, the reason I failed out of the selection process was because I didn't actually have what it took to be successful in that arena. Now, granted, that was probably 20 plus years ago now. What areas in your life would you say that you have the knowledge for versus actually having what it takes? The 3 reasons that I've stated in the beginning of this that people aren't able to move forward is one. And I think all of these apply in most people's lives, at least one out of the 3. The first one, I'm looking at my iPad for the notes, but some people have been discouraged by others. So what does discouragement by others look like? It could be being bullied or intimidated by a teacher in kindergarten. It could be something that a college professor said to you. It could be something a drill instructor may have said to you. Maybe even in your current state, there's people in your Rolodex, as I'm dating myself, but in your contact list that you get messages from, and they're discouraging some of your growth, right? Consciously or subconsciously. The second one is, some people are held back by past disappointments and hurts. This was evident and prevalent in my life, as most people I've talked to, it's been in theirs. See, when we try to do something and then we get hurt, we don't go all in the second time around. I remember as a child, we would build ramps, and in the 80s or the early 90s, the ramps that we built was just some piece of plywood, a bunch of bricks, and we go at the end of the block and come jetting down the street on our bikes with no brakes on our bikes, and we try to jump as high and as far as we possibly could. None of us are really doing that now. But if you apply that to maybe a business venture, or apply it to a job that you've actually applied to that you felt that you were credible for, but you didn't get it, and that stopped you from applying to other jobs, or stopped you from working with other entrepreneurs, right? It's the disappointment, it's the hurt. We don't want to revisit that pain again. One thing I've had to ask myself is, okay, it hurts. Take a deep breath, come to the realization that I'm alive, and get dialed in, right? Just because I failed once, or just because I get, as I like to use the metaphor, get kicked in the teeth, and I might even lose a couple of teeth, it doesn't mean my legs stop moving. My mind doesn't stop operating. So how do I go about, or how does one go about getting dialed in to move past the disappointments, past the hurts? Some of you don't know this, but I'm going to share it with you now. When I left the military and I transitioned into law enforcement, there was this little 12-month gap. And in this gap, I was in a band. It wasn't the Gap band, but I was in a band. Yes, surprise. And I remember the second stage I performed on, I got myself and my band, we got, in essence, booed off stage. Did it hurt? Yeah, stung a little bit, right? And it stayed with me for a while, but I didn't stop, going on stage. Now, I never went back to that stage, but I never stopped moving forward. It took me about, I'd say, 6 to 8 weeks to actually get it in myself, move the needle, if you will, to get back on stage and kind of find my mojo. The third one is some people get into the habit of settling for average. This, given my peer group or my age range, or as the analytics on Facebook show, the people that engage with me the most, so that age range is probably top. It tops the list. We settle for average. I caught myself doing this when I hit a certain income bracket in the corporate world. I said, you know what? I have arrived. Here I am at the age of 35, or at the time, I'm not 35 now, but at the time, I said, you know what? I'm good. I can buy what I want within reason. There were no Lamborghinis in the driveway, but I wasn't hurting, right? I wasn't as poor as I was growing up. I could give back without it, killing my pocket. I could travel at least once a year, and I got comfortable. And then as I started getting comfortable in my accomplishments, guess what else got comfortable? My diet, right? I lost the 2 abs that I did have. And I just it's not that I didn't care. I just was nonchalant in my approach to moving forward. So I'm bringing up the fact that most of us are educated or intuitive enough to know what it takes. But having what it takes is completely different. One of the things that I've been doing in my own world over the last 2 or 3 weeks is asking myself, so at the end of the day, whether my day ends at noon or it ends at 6 o'clock at night, I ask myself, what can I do next? Are you asking yourself, what can you do next? Right? Like, I know today there's 4 follow-up emails that I have to do based off of a networking event that I recently came off of. That sounds to me, for me, it's admin, and I do not like administrative work. But what I have found is that the more admin that I do and the more things I do within my business or my scope that I don't like to do, I find that there's more growth. There's more connection with myself and to my business. So my question to you is, and this is rhetorical, what can you do next? Yesterday, I had to ask myself the same question. What can I do next? And for me, it was playing with my son, right? Putting some things aside. The business isn't going anywhere, and being cognitive or having the wherewithal to actually go sit down and play and do whatever it is he wanted to do, right? There's all these areas in our lives, from the business, from the working out, from the relationships, and the list goes on and on and on. But asking yourself, what can you do next, is going to allow you to engage in an increased level of what I like to call command presence, right? Owning every moment of your day. Forget about the life. Let's just focus on the day. Owning every moment of your day. Are you engaged in confidence and command presence in the first 10 minutes of your morning, right? For me, it was waking up this morning and drinking some water, and it had a couple shots of apple cider vinegar, which is disgusting. But you know what? For me, there's a benefit in doing that. And if the first thing that it allows me to do is kind of wakes me up because that taste is disgusting, all right, cool. Now, what am I going to do for the next 3 hours of my day? All right, I'm going to get up. When you go to the gym, I know for us guys, cardio is not really our thing. Is that the thing that you have to do? I have found that if you do the things you don't like to do, and we've all heard this, but in all aspects of your life, do the things you don't like to do, the more success is going to come. And again, success is not monetary. It's a feeling. And the goal here is to, at the end of the day, if you can wake up happy every single day, in the middle of your day, you're happy. And then at the end of your day, you're able to, catch up on your wins. Like that's great for you overall. Everybody benefits from that, whether it's your kids, your spouse, friends, etc. So asking yourself, or telling yourself you know what to do, but asking yourself, do you have what it takes to do it? And if the answer is no, which is completely fine, because there's some areas in my life that I have what it takes, but I'm not willing to put in what it takes to do it. Like I don't, at this moment in my life, I have zero desire to run a marathon. Zero. I have friends that run marathons, and that's okay with them. I have what it takes, but right now that's not an area I'm focused on. But you get to this point of writing down the goals that you have. So your top 5 goals, say for the week or the month. And then on the other side of the paper or the column, you write down on a scale of 1 to 10, how engaged am I going to be in these? How dialed in am I going to be in these top 5 goals, right? If it's building a relationship, for me, that's a priority. If it's getting my best mile time in, that's not a priority. Running a mile is cool, but getting a personal record, no, that falls at the bottom of the list. I just need to get it done, right? That might change tomorrow. So again, rhetorical, ask yourself, what can I do next? And you have to come up with the answer for you on that one. But if you ask yourself that let's start with every hour on the day, every hour within the day, what can I do next? What can I do next? That for me, it stops me from spending 2 hours on a 45-minute project, right? Because you kind of sit here, you go to lunch or you do whatever you're going to do. And by the end of the day, you're kind of winded for no reason because you haven't really accomplished much. You didn't accomplish everything that you wanted to as you started your morning. It's middle of the day, at least here in Arizona. It is if you're on the East Coast, it might be towards the end of the day, but what can you do next? There's more you can do. You don't have to stop at a certain time. Again, my name is Dom Faussette. It's a pleasure talking and speaking with all of you. And I will jump on here with any questions you might have or comments, and feel free to share. Again, Dom Faussette with Think, React, Lead. Have a wonderful day, and we will chat soon.
You've been listening to Think, React, Lead. To connect with your authentic purpose, contact Dom at www.thinkreactlead.com.